The Great Plateau was where we woke up, but with the Zelda Notes app, we've learned it's where Hyrule woke up too. 8 new voice memories from Princess Zelda reframe this familiar region as more than a tutorial space. It was once a royal stronghold, a divine sanctuary, a technological vault, and maybe even a spiritual village. In this video, we'll break down each memory, pull out the deeper lore, and explore what it all might mean for the series. My caveat to this is that I'm disregarding, for now, anything that comes from Tears of the Kingdom's master works, because I need to wait for the English translation of that to properly work through it. Okay, let's kick straight into the first one, and then I'll break down what I've been able to draw out from this.
Hyrule Castle was here on the Great Plateau in ancient times and is still under the protection of the kingdom. Father has decreed that the people are free to worship at the Temple of Time. Barring that, however, only the royal family may enter here. I imagine that is because the royal family still has many connections to this area.
This isn't just an interesting historical detail, it completely redefines the plateau. If the original Hyrule Castle once stood here, then this land was the first seat of power, the true birthplace of the kingdom. That makes the Temple of Time more than a monument. It was likely the spiritual and political heart of early Hyrule. Zelda says the area is still restricted. Only the royal family may enter. That kind of control suggests secrets are still buried here. Tombs of ancient kings, prototype Sheikah tech, or worse, knowledge deemed too dangerous for the public. It also gives new meaning to why the Shrine of Resurrection is located here. This was sacred, strategic land, a foundation strong enough to hold something as risky as fate-altering Sheikah technology. But what if the plateau wasn't sealed off out of fear, but as part of a containment ritual, a controlled quarantine around a place where spiritual, royal and technological power were all overlapping, dangerously so? Maybe the royal family wasn't guarding a ruin, maybe they were upholding a balance. Disrupt the plateau and you risk unsettling something ancient, something fused into the foundation of Hyrule itself, the Triforce. It's worth noting that in Tears of the Kingdom, there's a strong implication, but not a definitive confirmation, that Hyrule Castle was once located on the Great Plateau. However, Tears does hint at the mobility and reconstruction of major structures, like how the Sky Islands contain Zonai ruins that were once part of the surface. This opens the door to the theory that the original Hyrule Castle may have stood on the plateau before moving or being rebuilt at its current location. Okay, next memory.
Royal princesses have a sacred power which is claimed to have been passed down generation after generation. In fact, the lineage traces all the way back to the first queen, when Hyrule was founded. The ritual at the Temple of Time falls upon the princess to carry out. But do my prayers even reach the goddess when my powers have yet to awaken?
This memory reinforces what Tears of the Kingdom revealed, that Zelda's powers come directly from Queen Sonia, the first queen of Hyrule. Sonia's light-based abilities mirror Zelda's own, and we now know they were passed down through a royal bloodline that began at the kingdom's founding. That queen, Sonia, we can now speculate, was either chosen by the goddess Hylia or was her incarnation, like Skyward Sword's Zelda. That makes the current Princess Zelda not just royalty, but the latest bearer of divine responsibility passed down for millennia. The Temple of Time is shown to be the focal point of that ritual lineage. Not the castle, not the palace, but this temple on this plateau. And what started as a spiritual legacy became a biological one, with each princess inheriting a fragment of divine power. But what happens when that connection falters? Zelda's uncertainty is telling. Her powers haven't awakened. Her prayers go unanswered. She's doing everything right, yet nothing is happening. It speaks to a much deeper fear, that the divine cycle she's been born into is fraying, that something has broken. either in her or in the goddess's ability to respond. It also adds new weight to what we know comes later. In becoming the Light Dragon, Zelda doesn't just honour that lineage, she completes it. She embodies the very sacrifice Sonia once made to establish Hyrule's foundation. This memory captures the moment before that choice, when the burden of legacy felt crushing and the future was still uncertain. On to the next memory.
Many ancient relics of the Sheikah were considered dangerous and were therefore entombed in darkness by the King of Hyrule long ago. In particular, the Shrine of Resurrection was considered especially dangerous, as it controls people's fates. It was kept under close watch by the royal family. Now that recent investigations into the divine beasts have revealed that this shrine was built in preparation against the calamity, however, we should move forward with its study.
This one might be the most important log in the set, and the most disturbing. Zelda reveals that the Shrine of Resurrection was once classified as dangerous. Not just powerful, not just sacred. Dangerous. The kind of thing the king buried and refused to discuss. And the reason? It controls people's fates. That single phrase reframes the entire shrine. We thought of it as a medical chamber, a healing pod, but this suggests something deeper. Perhaps it can alter memory, bring people back against the will of the gods, or even reset timelines. The royal family feared it, and only began to reconsider its use after analysing the divine beasts. That implies the shrine wasn't designed to heal just anyone. It was built as a contingency against calamity-level threats, and if it could truly change fate, that opens the door to some massive possibilities. Was Link's resurrection really a revival, or was it a rewrite? Up next is one that I found particularly interesting, and was not something I had picked up on during my initial playthrough back in 2017.
Past this gate is a snowy landscape, cold enough for one to freeze there. The area is a place where heroes can test their skills, but the landscape is clearly not a natural phenomenon. Perhaps some ancient technology we have yet to learn about is being used here.
The cold peaks of the plateau have always felt like a gameplay obstacle, but Zelda's memory suggests they were engineered. She speculates that ancient technology may be keeping this area frozen, implying it's artificially sustained. That makes the cold region a controlled environment, like a Sheikah shrine but on a larger scale. Possibly a survival test for chosen heroes, a mini biome designed to simulate adversity. This gives weight to the idea that the plateau was a proving ground, not just for Link, but for any hero in training across generations. Think of it this way, a spiritual kingdom builds its capital on sacred ground. Then the Sheikah repurpose it as a testbed. Combat, survival, faith, all in one place. If that's true, the snowy peaks weren't shaped by nature, they were engineered. The plateau wasn't just the starting point for heroes, it was a place designed to test them, to measure their readiness before stepping into, or back into, the world. That covers the first half of Zelda's voice memories from the Great Plateau, and already we're seeing signs that this place was far more than a starting zone. Royal secrets, divine rituals, engineered environments, and we're only halfway through. In part 2, we'll look at Zelda's more personal reflections on her father, the strange mountain hut, the spirits that may have lived here, and one small frog that says more than you'd think. If you're enjoying this series, a like or a subscribe really helps the channel, and feel free to drop your own theories in the comments. Part 2 coming very soon. Thanks, have a good one, and catch you next time.